It's time for guitar backup for Duffers. Good morning, Duffers. How's everybody doing? I'm all tuned up here, and we're gonna get started here. So hey, I better change the picture, hadn't I, so you can see me. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hey, did you hear that little vladunk on my phone? That's a notification I got from YouTube that I just went live because I'm a subscriber to my own channel. Why don't you right now, if you haven't done it, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little picture of a little possum, a little white kind of translucent possum. Go hover over that. There'll be a subscribe button will stick out. Subscribe and check notifications that every time I go live or post up a new video, you'll get a little ding-a-ling on your phone or on your computer. It's handy, especially if you forget, you want to be at the Duffer show and you forget, and then, hey, oh, I gotta get going here. So anyway, let's get started. So here's what we've done so far, folks. I'm just going to back up just a hair. Okay, we're working in the key of G, right? And remember, I talked about holding the pick, not too tight, kind of about like that. Let some of it stick out. And really, kind of the way I have it too is my index finger. It's kind of perpendicular to my thumb, actually. And then I'm just squeezing it, but not too tight. If you were here right now and I challenged you, you could just pull that right out. It's not. You don't want to hold it too tight, and you don't want too much sticking out. And you don't want just a snub sticking out. You want it to be a little bit flexible, but my pick actually is pretty thick. I use a heavy gauge pick. Sometimes on the mandolin I use something that frankly is not flexible in any way, like a 1.5 millimeters or something, almost like playing with a quarter, So but for the guitar, I think a heavy gauge, a heavy pick is a good choice. Definitely nothing lighter than a medium because it's just too flicky, it's too flicky. And remember way back when in lesson 1, I talked about playing back here, not playing up here. Hear the difference in the sound? You want to get sharp, clunky bass notes? Now that's where we're playing the cowboy chords because we're still playing these open cowboy chords. When we start playing these fancy Mel Bay chords, then you might want to be somewhere else on the guitar. But for right now, so we're playing in G. This is how I'm making my G. This is how I'm making my C. This is how I'm making my D. Right? And we did we got one movable chord form going, didn't we? We took the C7 and moved it up 2 frets, and we got a D7 now. And remember on the C, to get my alternating bass, I do that, and the same here. All right, that's kind of a recap of 3 lessons previous. So now let us play. I've got 3 tunes without accompaniment lined up here. The first one we did, remember, was Coming Round the Mountain. So I put up this little chord chart, and you can take a screenshot of that later if you want to. And then we also did Sugar in the Gourd. I got that little chord chart up, okay? So let's play a little Coming Round the Mountain when she comes. But the chord charts are nice, but you want to develop a way to listen and hear where the changes might be. Okay, and you also need to learn to read guitar, so you can read other guitar players what they're doing. But we're going to want to learn to listen to where the chords are. I just want to take one moment. Michael here asked me a question earlier. He called the hotline and left me a message, and I read the transcript of his message from 847-920-7587. You can call that number at any time, 24 hours a day, and leave me a message. But Michael asked, how do you start to remember tunes, get the tunes in your head? And really the only way to do that, I'd say, I hope I'm interpreting your question correctly, Michael, for starters. If not, shoot me another message. But I think the only way to do that is just listen. You have to be, if you want to play fiddle music, whether you're an accompanist, mandolin player, guitar, fiddler, banjo, whatever, you have to be ate up, and you have to be listening to this music all the time. Listen to it in your car, put your headphones on, walk on your walk, listen to nothing but tunes. And also, I always try to associate the title with the tune. That's kind of how I have, I can probably play 600 or 700 tunes from memory, and but they're all filed away with the title of the tune. I have trouble with these tunes. Somebody says, here's a tune with no title. Well, I have to make up, use the name of the person who played it for me or something to try to remember it. I hope that helps, but you got to file them away, and you just got to listen to fiddle music all the time and be checking, oh yeah, that's Devil's Dream there, okay? And the next time you hear that, oh, that's Devil's Dream. It's like giving yourself a quiz all the time, so. But that'll come. You just got to listen to a lot of music. Listen. Okay, so, and I always got in the habit of asking people what the title is, of tune is when they play a tune. So now let us proceed with playing "Coming Round the Mountain." I've got some fiddler queued up over here. He's not much good, but let's have him play this tune, and we're going to play along. I think. There we go. G. Good morning. Going to D now. One more. Hey, all right, that boy's not too bad. Give him a trophy or something. So we did a few things there. So I was calling out the chords. But you can hear where that's a pretty good tune for hearing where the changes are. It's pretty obvious. Not obvious. I don't want to use that's not a fair term to use when you're starting out. But you can hear them pretty well. So we did I did a few things there that we talked about last time. Let's just kind of review those. So if I'm going into my G, I'm on the E string here. F sharp, G, bass run, chord. The key to the bass runs is the timing, is everything. If you start them too soon, start them too late, you'll be off. So, see, I just used that as a little filler, didn't I? Because I was just kind of alternating bass for a long time. But right now, I'm alternating bass with the G chord. So, note G on the E string, and then the open D. I could use the B, I could use the A string as that note there. And you got to sit and do that for hours because it becomes very automatic. That's the way with a lot of stuff, especially with the right hand when on the guitar. The old ragtime guitar players, you've seen those good finger pickers who their thumb seems to be moving independently of their fingers as they're playing. Like you listen to Mississippi John Hurt or somebody like that. Well, they used to call that the educated thumb, because it had a mind of its own. But by the same token, you want your right hand to you don't want to have to think about what you're doing with the right hand. So alternating bass, practice it, but practice it down here. Remember I said too, not too much up picking. Once in a while I'll throw in a little thing, especially a tune that's being played slower like that. I might throw in a little up pick once in a while on the chords, but not too often, because otherwise it starts to sound like Kingston Trio. We're not looking for that. Okay, so G we get, and if we do that same lick, but starting on the A string, we have a run into C. Try that. Open A, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. Back to here. And then for getting from G to D, see, I don't want to use that C, I want to use C sharp. So same run again on C. the bass runs there. So listen back to this. You know, if you're not sure what you're doing there, listen back to this. Slow it down. All right, let's go on to the next tune. So the next tune we played was this one here, "Sugar in the Coffee." Okay, but we're just gonna play along. I think we used kind of the Missouri rules on this, which we talked about. Yeah, this is a Missouri rules tune. Even though it doesn't really fit the melody, that's what we like in Missouri. We like to push that chord progression against the melody, whether it fits or not. So let's play a little "Sugar in the Coffee." Now, I want to mention something else. A couple things. I'm going to put up a website for all my 3 Duffers classes. I got mandolin, fiddle, and guitar, where I can put some of this extraneous material so you can access it. And I'll be putting those links on our Facebook page, fans of Pat and Possum's Big Fiddle Show, and also on my Patreon page. Okay. So, the other thing I want to mention is we're about 11 minutes here, somewhere like that. So starting next week, if you're watching the program in archive, in other words, you didn't make it to the lesson at 11 o'clock, you're only going to see the first 10 minutes of the lesson, unfortunately, because I'm moving all this stuff over to my Patreon page. And here's that address right here, patreon.com/Charlie Walden. So if you're a patron on there, it costs like 92 cents a week, I figured out, using my advanced math skills. So you can access all these lessons from now on. But you can still come. It's still a free lesson, just like you were supposed to show up at the music store and take your 11 o'clock lesson. It's still going to be on here. But if you want to see them in archive and look at them more and more, or if you're just coming late and you want to see the old ones, they're all going to be at patreon.com/Charlie Walden. Go check that out if you don't mind. Okay? But anyway, let's get right back here to playing. The next tune we've been working on is, let's see here if I can bring it up. I got my other little computer here. "Sugar in the Coffee." Here we go. Is it going to work? Yeah. Here we go. G. Now D. G. Yeah. How'd you do? Let's talk about what happened there. Let's talk about what was going on there. So this is a very typical fiddle tune. It has 8-bar sections. So if we counted 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2, 8, 2. That 8-bar part like that encompasses about 98% of all fiddle tunes, hoedowns and such. So let's think about what was going on there then. So we played 3 bars of G. Let's look at the chord progression I wrote out here. We played 3 bars of G. Each one of those upper lines separates a measure. So G, 2 beats, G, 2 beats, G, 2 beats, D, 7. And I go back to G. Actually, I'm going to change that. I'm just going to play a whole bar of D there, but don't worry about that for right now. So, and then G, 1 bar, C, 1 bar, D7, 1 bar, G. Oh, what's a D7? Oh, I'll show you in just a minute here. I think I talked about that last time. But so that's kind of when we talk about the Missouri pattern or the old-time accompaniment pattern, that's sort of what we're talking about. More typically, the bottom line is it. I've got a little outlier there in the top line. So if I sing the second part of the tune, let's just listen now. But we get a little more interest if we do something like that. So let's go to the finger view, and I'll show you what a D7 is, okay? Now on my site I'm creating, I will put the chord charts, chord patterns, so you can see how to do this. So that'll be up and running next week. But so for right now, this is a D, right? And sometimes, you know, the old possum likes to use this F sharp here on the E string. Okay, but so that's a D. This is a D7. I've rearranged my fingers so that I'm playing with my first finger. I'm playing on the B string. It's a C natural. Then with my third finger, I'm playing the F sharp or the second fret on the E string, and then with my middle finger, I'm playing an A on the G string or the second fret. Oh yeah. Whoa. But I don't like the voicing of that chord particularly well. I'd rather you play this movable position we learned last week. In other words, it's C. See, let's see the C. Move that C chord up right here. Second to the 5th fret. So now my third finger's on the 5th fret. My second finger is the 5th fret of the A string. My second finger is on the 4th fret of the D string. My first finger is on the 3rd fret of the B string. And then I have to get this guy right here, the pinky, he's going to be on the 5th fret of the G string. Now, the trouble with this is I can't play the outside notes. Okay, so you got to just play those inside 4. Right, so watch now. Oh, how about that? All right, so let's let this hillbilly play this tune for you one more time, and I'll mess around with that a little bit so you can see some other ideas, okay? Come on. What in the world? Come on. You're not cooperating. Cooperate. You're trying to go Bluetooth on me here. I can turn it back on. Turn it back on here. Come on. Mode. That's what, I touched the wrong button. I hate when it's operator error. Ways to skin a cat there. Sorry, cat lovers, I didn't mean to say skinning a cat. So this thing is not cooperating. This is experimental here. Let's see if I can make it work. If not, I'll unplug the little speaker and we'll just go with just the computer. But go back to my main view here. So that gives you some more options, you know, for playing now. So see, you've got 2 different Ds you can play. You can play this D, or you can use this guy here. And when we do that one, we'll alternate the bass like thus. Let me show you that one more time up close here. So I'm hitting this note here. Well, let's see, which way do I go here? Here we go. I'm hitting the A string, the 5th fret, and then I'm going over to the E string and playing an A. So it's D, A, those are the notes. D, A, but it's on the A and E strings, right? Okay, good. Okay, so now let's try something else here. So we're going to go on to the Westphalia Waltz, but let's do something very fundamental now. What I really want you to do before we're done, probably in the next couple of weeks, is we're going to at least memorize all the notes up to the 5th fret, okay, on the E, A, and D strings, on the bass strings. The reason is we can start playing chords and knowing what chord. We can name chords that have the root of the chord on one of those strings. We want to know what the names of all those notes are, right? So it's very important to know that. So let's just do a little bit with that right now. All right, so here, we know the names of the notes, right? I'm just talking about the bottom 3, the low 3 strings. When I say bottom 3, I mean the low strings. So E, A, D, right? And And you know, back in the days before the electronic tuners, we would tune one string off another, right? Back in the olden days before when we had to use our ears to tune. So unison is at unison of the string below is at the 5th fret. So if this is an E and unison of the string below is at the 5th fret, the next string below is an A, right? So that's an A. Okay. So E, A. So 5th fret of the E string is an A. 5th fret of the A string is a D, right? Because it's the string below, right? So that's a D. Okay. 5th fret of the D string is the next string down, so it's G. See, it matches. Unison. That's how the old people used to tune their guitars way back when, before electronics. So now we know one note reliably for sure on each string, right? We know what the 5th fret. We know what to call the 5th fret note, right? So when I say you're playing a D here, well, that is a D on the 5th fret because it's the same as the open string, right? And if I'm alternating the bass, if I'm playing this D, I'm alternating the bass, right? D, A, D, A, D, A. Well, if I do the same thing here, D, A, D, A. See, you know the names of those notes now. All right. Now, so if we're playing a G chord, right? Well, we know that's a G. That's the note. That's the note that names the chord, the root of the chord, we could say. Okay. And if we're playing a C chord, that's the name of that. That's a C because that names that note, right? So now we know. And then if we just carry that one step further, I'll just tell you that this is an F, right? The 3rd fret. So the 3rd fret on the D string is an F natural. All right. So let's see what we know so far. We know these notes open, E, A, D, right? We know that this is the note below, so we know A, D, G, right? Everybody buy that? And then these are all notes here we can play, so it's G, C, F natural. I'm saying F natural because we're playing in G, right? Okay, good. Because I want to say natural, not F sharp, because that's in the key of G. It'd really be F sharp. Okay, so let's just leave it right there for right now. But so we want to know these cold. The first 5 frets up on these lower 3 strings, the bass strings. We want to know every note like we could name it, just like that. Okay. All right. So let us play the Westphalia Waltz because that was the next tune we were working on, right? So. And I'm going to introduce you to a new movable chord form. That's why I was kind of working with you on those notes, because to play those movable chord forms, you need to know the names of the notes. And we're going to learn the names of all the notes up to the 12th fret actually, and know them ice cold. Okay, before we're done. Okay, so let's listen to that Westphalia Waltz. I hope my speaker doesn't mess up here. Let's see if it will work for me. Oh, please, please! You worked so good when I didn't have people watching.
Westphalia Waltz.
Here we go. Waltz time, remember?
3, 1, 2.
Just D and G. Hey, Macy. goes. And I think I hadn't had enough coffee when I recorded that. I'm a little off a couple times, but so these recordings will be available for you too on that page I'm going to put up, so that you can have something to play along with, because it's important to have something to play along with where there's no accompaniment and it's just you. Okay, so what could I have done? I'm going to just kind of sing the tune and show you some of the things we already know that we learned from those two hoedowns that we can apply to this waltz. Remember, the waltz is alternating bass and two down strums. Boom. So if I sing the little tune, here we go. La da 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 da. D. Da, 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 da. And my little run back to G. Okay, so now let us talk about a couple things. I'm going to break out of the lesson here just to remind you that I have 3 Duffers programs. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Fiddle for Duffers on Tuesday, mandolin for Duffers on Wednesday, guitar for Duffers on Thursday. Okay, so I've got those 3 instructional things going. And then on Wednesday night, we have the Camp Possum Wednesday night session. And this week, on Friday night, always on Friday night, the Big Fiddle Show Friday Tiki Party. It starts at 8 o'clock on this same YouTube channel. And then the ever-popular Camp Possum, which is from 11 to 12:30 on Saturday mornings. We learn a tune, we jam some. So be sure to check out any and all of those opportunities that are coming up. And you know, if you want to support the program and support these lessons, please go to patreon.com/Charlie Walden and become a patron. If that's not your cup of tea or cup of coffee, however, and you just want to throw me a bone because you're enjoying the broadcast, go to ko-fi.com/Big Fiddle Show and buy us a cup of coffee, why don't you? All right. So now, let's do something a little different with that. Remember, we're just playing, I want to give you this chord form. You know, I think I'm just going to leap right ahead to this new chord form. And this new chord form fits in the second part where it goes da, let's da, 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 da. So on that second bar, so it's 1 bar of G, and I'll write this chord progression out for you too, by the way. It's 1 bar of G, and then 1 bar of something called F sharp 7. So it sounds like this. Da, 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 da. That's your second movable chord form. Now let me just break that down for you here real quick, all right? Here we go. So it looks like this. I'm taking my first finger. There he is. I'm putting it on the 2nd fret of the E string, okay? I'm taking my second finger, and I'm putting it on the 2nd fret. It's a pile up on the 2nd fret, folks. I'm taking my 2nd finger and putting it on the 2nd fret of the D string. I'm not playing the A string at all. I'm going to muffle it. I'm going to show you that in a second. I'm taking the 3rd finger and putting it on the 2nd fret of the B string. Okay, so you got this. We got this down. And then finally take Mr. Pinky and put him right here on the Mr. or Ms. Pinky, as the case may be, and put it right on the 3rd fret of the G string, and you get something like this. Oh, that sounds nice. Sounds kind of jazzy. That's why I have my jazz hat on today. So it's da. Let's see. It's da 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 da. How about that? See, I just used that other. So now I'm employing 2 movable forms to play this tune. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap up here because our half hour is pretty much consumed. So everybody, thanks so much for coming. And we will see you. Let's see if I have an outro thing here. Do I? Yeah, hey! And we'll see you Saturday morning at Camp Possum, I hope, and Friday night at the Tiki Party at 8 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me, and we'll pick up right where we left off here next Thursday, 11 o'clock Central Time. Catch you on the flip side, everybody.
Get home, dance, you wait and swing your